So we said there's a student table, and our student table has a student ID, which was the primary key, and the student name. But let's say I want a grades table, and this grades table will have, and we've created it. I'm going to get it and paste it in here. So I want to create a grades table. And if we look at this grades table, we have a student ID, which is an int, and we have a grade. However, this student ID is a student ID that refers to the student table. So if I want to give a grade to Bart Simpson, then I'm going to insert the ID 1 with their grade. So this student ID references the student ID that's in the student's table. And that's what this line is saying, that student ID should be a foreign key that references student ID in the student table. So student ID references the student ID in the student table. Why is that important? So there's some checks that it ensures. One of them is that the student exists. So for example, if I go in and insert a student ID 101 and there isn't any student with the ID 101, it's going to give me an error. It ensures that there is a student in that table with that ID. So I want to specify that this is a foreign key. I also specified it's actually the primary key. It's also unique. In this case, in my situation, every student has one grade, and therefore student ID is unique. It's a primary key, and it also happens to be a foreign key that refers to the student table. And therefore, later we can join it up if we want to. We can do a join on student ID if we want to get their name and grade and put everything together. But for now, this is just a video on foreign keys. So let's test this out. So now if we go to grades, we have a student ID, we have the grade. So now I'm going to go and insert into it. So I'm going to do a bunch of inserts. If we remember in the student table, I'll go and remind you, we have 5 students: Bart Simpson, Lisa Simpson, Maggie Simpson, Homer Simpson, Marge Simpson. So I'm going to give them all a grade. So I'm doing 5 inserts, one for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for all their IDs, and I'm giving them grades. Good. Now if I go to the grades table, I can see that each one of the students has a grade. But now I'm going to ask you a question. What would happen if I try to do this? Insert into grades values 6, 75. So for student ID 6, I want to give a 75. But what do we remember? There is no student with an ID 6. We only had 1 through 5, Bart Simpson, Homer Simpson. We didn't have a 6th one. So what's going to happen if I try to give a student 6 a 75? In the grades table, you would think this should work fine, right? But let's see what happens. Because you can see it's a foreign key constraint fails. Because we set up student ID as a foreign key, that means it must exist in the student table. So because 6 does not exist in the student table, this is a good check and it fails. Just like when you have a primary key, it won't let you do a duplicate, and there's different checks for a primary key. It won't let you input null. For a foreign key, we're going to check, does this 6 exist in the student table? No, let me give you an error. And that is how powerful foreign keys are and why it works so well.